Hello, welcome to our 5 questions video. Normally, what I like to do is, well, I say normally, we've only done 2 of these before this, but I often like to have the camera pointed towards me and reveal the other person. So right now, just pretend you can't see her. So, but I don't know why I do that, because the title literally says I'm talking to so and so. So let's not pretend there's any surprise. I'm here with a person. It's a human, surprise. And I'll let her say who she is and what she does. Oh, you know what? I was going to lower this so that it's closer to our heads. Now you're all getting to see the wonder of video editing as it happens. All right, we'll do 5 questions, and I'll let her. In fact, that's the first question. I'm just going to jump right to it. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. That's not a question. Hi. Who are you, and what do you do here?
So my name is Rebekah Ross, and I work as an administrative assistant and on the music faculty for Living Education.
Okay. Well, very nice.
Yeah.
You say on the music faculty. Who else is on the music faculty?
It's just me.
So
right
you
now.
sort of are the music faculty,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, that doesn't count as a second question. We do 5 questions, but I reserve the right to follow up with questions, just so you know. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
I have her permission.
That's
okay,
fine.
good. So, second question. How long have you been a part of LE here? And what do you think of it? How has it gone for you? Has it gotten easier? Is it getting harder? You're always doing different things, but give us a sense of how the last X number of years have gone.
Yeah, so I started working for Living Education 5 years ago, and incidentally, that was the first year that Living Education started. So I've been here basically since the beginning. I wasn't here when the project first started, but I was here for the beginning of the first year and have been here ever since.
Now, was there a music class from the very beginning?
No, there wasn't actually. Okay. So we started the music class halfway through the first year, and funny story, actually, the students didn't know it was going to happen. So it was...
They didn't know there was going to be a music class?
No, they didn't know. And Mr. McNair told me he was going to give me part of his hour because he couldn't figure out another way to work me into the schedule that semester. So I showed up at the time, and I came in with my syllabus and all the things, and, I introduced myself in the class and started handing out the syllabus, and all the students are looking at me like, what is this class? Like, they had no idea, and they caught on probably by, I'd say halfway through the class. They're like, oh, we have to turn in assignments for this.
It makes me think the way a lot of programs grow reminds me of children. In the Bible, the firstborn gets extra blessings, double portion. At least in our family, I think that's because the firstborn, we recognize as parents, we probably messed up the most on them. Those are the ones who are figuring things out. And in this case, it was LE. First year was figuring things out. And so you had a good class, I'm sure. I'm sure they were very flexible and responsive, and it all worked out.
Yeah. It ended up working out in the end. And I think they ended up appreciating it, and we still have the class, so I guess
and I do hear a lot of positive things about the class, the LE music class. In fact, that would be our third question. Let me make sure I'm not going to use up too many questions. Okay, good. This is the third question, because I do want to stick to the rules. You want to do things right. I don't want to make it 17 questions. Which, by the way, you all should know we have been here for approximately 8 hours trying to get all this set up, and it's not complicated. In fact, she has... How would you describe the screensavers that you use? This is a bonus question. It's not the
Yeah,
fun.
so I like to use the bubble screensaver,
Right.
And Mr. Smith noticed something interesting about how the bubbles interact with each other that I never noticed before. So
we did spend time figuring out how... It's not that we're wasting time, but there was a certain physics going on with the bubbles, but I think we figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did. I feel good about it, we did.
I think we learned some things.
I think we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for not leaving me hanging on a video. All right. So third question. So there is a music class, but like if I were a potential student coming to Living Ed and I didn't already know how to play an instrument or had not sung before or in any kind of, I mean, singing hymns, but not like a performance in front of it. If it's just me, would I find that intimidating? Could you kind of give everyone a sense of what is music class like for LE? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Okay.
Yeah. So I designed the class to be applicable and relevant to any student coming in.
Okay.
So no matter what their musical background is, it's designed so that hopefully everybody can get something out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and really the first semester is more concerned with how we make music choices as Christians, like what
in terms of music we listen to,
yes.
or okay.
Yeah, so that's the main thing we're talking about in the first semester, and we analyze music from a whole bunch of different angles, and
okay.
No previous musical background is necessary to do well in the class.
Okay, so that's a part of the music class. It's not, even if, let's say you had a year in which no one has any musical talent. In fact, when they do start to sing, you want them to be quiet, right? So that would be a class full of me's. What you're saying is that part of the class, that's really for anyone. That would be for anyone who's interested in enjoying music, to help them understand, how to understand whether something really has value and whether it's wise to listen to it.
Yes, exactly. So that's the first part of the class. And then the second part, in the second semester, we cover music in the Bible.
Oh, wow.
And that is, I think, really fascinating and interesting to people from any background because, you're analyzing the music that was written in Scripture. And
wow.
That's a neat...
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Well, we don't want to spoil anything of the class. Anyone who might come, we want them to discover it. But I do want to ask one follow-up question because I have my own opinion about this. And if you disagree, I'll say you're wrong in front of all of you. Because some would often say when it comes to music we listen to, it's just a matter of the lyrics. As long as the lyrics are fine, then it must be okay. But are there things we should keep in mind, which I'm not saying you should give those things now, whether you discuss them in the class, are there things worth keeping in mind even if it's, say, non-lyrical music, if it's just instrumental music?
Yes, and actually for part of the class we discuss how you analyze music that doesn't have lyrics connected to it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So there are many different elements that you can look at that, the lyrics don't have to be involved in order for you to analyze it and know, is this a piece I can use? How can I use it? And go from there. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, so we're not going to tell you what those things are. You got to come. In fact, if you don't come to LE, you might just be listening to garbage all the time and have no idea. Okay. So the next question. Okay. This we went to Israel together in 2019. Not just the two of us. That would be weird. But the whole LE group went to Israel, and my wife and I had the privilege of being with you guys, and really enjoyed that. So I was just curious, and I want to put you on the spot, but thinking back to 2019, is there any particular memory that stands out about, and you actually went through all the pictures, right? Like those watching can actually go, I'm sorry I keep touching the computer. I forgot to tell it not to go to sleep. One of the many things we didn't figure out over the 8 hours preparing for this. But you actually helped assemble a lot of the pictures, right, that are on the lcgeducation.org where people can find those things. But is there anything that really stands out about that trip in particular that you think would be worth sharing with everybody?
Well, I think...
I know there might be a lot of things, so it doesn't have to be the top thing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I took away from that trip is, just being in Israel and seeing the places that are talked about in the Bible, and actually being there and looking over and saying, oh, that's where, David and Goliath fought in the Valley of Elah, or, there's where, where David was, or where Solomon was, or we saw a lot of Solomonic gates, and we saw a lot of different things. I think my favorite place that we went to was when we were touring the Temple Mount area. And there's an area south of the Temple Mount where some excavations have happened. Actually, the AC students were on some of those excavations when they were
Oh,
uncovering that
right.
area. But they've uncovered the steps that led up to the temple during the time of Christ. And there was a moment when the tour guide was talking about the steps and said that apparently when Neil Armstrong came to Jerusalem, he said he was more excited to stand on those steps than he was to stand on the moon.
Oh, wow.
Because Jesus Christ may have stood on those
Yeah.
steps. And that really hit me. And
Yeah.
so we got to sit there and, look out over the city. And it was just such a neat experience because you realize, oh, wow, our Savior was literally here,
Yeah.
on this part of the earth. And that's just an amazing thing.
Oh, that is cool. This is going to sound really weird, but I don't tend to believe time is a dimension just like 3 dimensions. Now it's going to it immediately sounds weird, right? But, in relativity, they try to say time is a dimension just like physical dimensions. I don't think so. I think time is different. But studying about that makes you think that if the 3-dimensional coordinates are the same, then you can be in a place and just kind of run time back and forth, and you'd be in the same place. And there were places in Jerusalem where I thought to myself, this exact place, if the time coordinate were just a little different, Jesus would be right there, or Peter would be right there, and and they're in that same space, and that's probably a really dorky way of saying kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
it's an amazing feeling to actually be there. And so many people try to criticize the Bible or criticize people for believing in Jesus or in the characters of the Bible.
Right.
It's just when you actually go and you're there, it comes alive in a whole new way.
Right. Well, now I'm worried because I thought of 2 questions I want to ask, and I think that was number 4. I've lost count. I might pretend it's number 3.
It's okay.
And let me ask this one then. Okay, now this one is more of a personal one. So I've known Rebekah for a long time. In fact, we go back at least to when you were 12. I think before, because the very first years I ran the preteen camp in Missouri, you were there.
Yep.
And one of those years, I think it was the year you were 12, your big graduation year, 12 from preteen camp, we would do a camp quiz. And I think because it was individual students there, and I think you won the camp quiz. Now I'm afraid there's going to be other campers there and say, that wasn't Rebekah, that was me, or that was somebody
I'll
else.
Take it.
Yeah, okay. And I think it was you, and I think I remember what the last question was.
Okay.
Or thereabouts, and I'm about to ask you.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if she knows, and if she doesn't know, don't judge her. After 12, we all deteriorate, a little bit. Okay, but it was about chapters in the Bible.
Okay.
Where you can find the 10 Commandments listed, right? But there's more than one, because people tend to go to one, but there's another one. So putting her on the spot, she didn't. I talked to her that said I might bring up camp, but I didn't tell her what the question was. So can you answer all of us? Where are those 2 go-to chapters for finding the 10 Commandments?
I believe it's in Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5. So.
And when she was 12, that's right.
I'm so happy.
When she was 12, she gave the same answer. So very nice. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd have to send you back to preteen camp this year. Okay, well then I don't know if this is if this y'all watching know better what question number I'm on. I've got a math degree. I think I can count to 5. But so if this is the 5th question, my question is going to be, what would you want to tell any of our teens or young adults who are watching? You want them to know about living education. But if I've already asked a 5th question, then rather it's a demand that I'm demanding. That sounds awkward. Then rather it's more a personal request. Hey, I wonder what someone would tell someone to make them, to inform them about living education. Is there anything you want to leave them with concerning living education?
I would say consider where you are in your life and think about your plans and your goals.
Okay.
And if you don't have goals, maybe make some goals for yourself for the next 5-10 years. And then think about your goals for your spiritual life, especially. Because, and whether you come to living education or not, I mean, that's something important to think about anyway, but if there is an opportunity for you to come here and to establish a stronger foundation in terms of your spiritual life, I mean, it's like 1 year that you can take and just focus on that part of your life. And that's a unique thing. There's a lot of people who don't get that opportunity, and there's only a small window of time in your life when you can even do something like that.
Right.
And especially when you're coming out of high school or finishing college, or maybe you're looking at a gap year situation, you only have a small window of time and to prepare and set you up for the rest of your life. So think about your goals and what you want to do, and see if living education fits into that, because I think it has a great benefit for just establishing a strong foundation for the future. So.
Well, thanks. She didn't know I was going to ask that. So, but if it's not a fifth question, I didn't ask you. I just happened to say out into the void. I'd like someone to talk about that. But I didn't know the words for it until I think it was Mr. McNair did a podcast with us. No, it was before that. I've heard that, but gap year. That idea that. The opportunity to spend a year focusing on the foundation of your life that you don't normally get. I mean, now I'm 52. I don't get to take a year of focusing on the foundation. If it's not there already, I'm really in trouble. So, okay, well, good. Well, thank you. And let me just, let everyone know, and I'll tell I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but, when Living Education was coming together and there was, talk about putting it together, I didn't hear you mention, because they're still putting it together. That'd have been really unusual if they said the one thing we need is. But whenever I heard that you were attached to it, that they were hoping to be able to make you a part of it, I was thrilled. Just so you know, say something nice with a witness. I was thrilled because I just really appreciate the attitude you bring and the quality, now if you'd answered that question wrong at preteen camp, I'd have said, "Oh, forget it. That'd have been terrible." But no. Anyway, thank you for being willing to do this.
Thank you.
And thank all of y'all. We don't have a podcast this week. Oh, I'm sorry. We've been really busy, and so there won't be a podcast this week. But instead, you get me and Rebekah. Yay. All right, take care, and have a good week.